Hello, everybody. This is Akram Shaban. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Versan again. How are you, Versan? How's everything with you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Man, it's glad to have you back here. But yeah, I just want to let the audience know that, of course, you guys saw the news. Uh,
Trump.
Trump just missed a bullet.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts here, Versan?
Well, without okay, so it's significant. It's a very significant event in
Mm,
American history because no president has faced such threats since the days of Reagan and Kennedy. Um, but there are speculations already. Naturally, we live in a very complex world where people like to, I would say, it's not conspiracy theory, but people want to believe that the deep state was behind this, right?
right.
So there are speculations already happening that the incident was staged. And whether it's the administration itself or by so-called deep state, some do believe it's the latter, including myself, but I'll explain what I think. I think this is designed to follow something deeper, the United Nations playbook, um, which is designed to erode the trust between governments and the people, and that will pave way for political reform. Um, we have to understand that the world we live in is very detached from the politics that it once knew, right?
Correct.
Um, the world is changing very fast, and I think a new kind of government is coming in very soon.
Mm.
So the theory about this assassination attempt, the theory that I'm telling you about with the United Nations behind this, of the assassination attempt is, I think, a broader initiative to destabilize the current administration. Whether it's Trump or Biden, it really doesn't matter because there's a lot of information people are not privy to. And the other day, I did get to speak with a former insider from the United Nations
Mm.
and the central bank under the Bush administration. And he explained how a very strategic move was being implemented by the deep state. I think the goal is to create more chaos, more mistrust, and make it easier to introduce those changes, those political reforms that are necessary. Um, Simultaneously, while the Trump thing was going on, there was other news that had major developments that nobody was talking about. It didn't receive any attention. That banks are offloading large amounts of debt. Simultaneously, they're monetizing their debt. They're tightening lending standards. That means it's harder for people to borrow money, which means that more people will fall deeper into debt. There are also reports that are highlighting the growing issues of out of control credit card spending debt. And that indicates that the banks are reaching their limits of extending credit lines for people. So a lot of other shit is happening as well. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Man, because I also believe, of course, like you said, there's always a lot of things happening, like the banks, uh, like just they're borrowing, they're not letting people borrow more money, and especially like, of course, it's a distraction, you know, and
Yeah.
it's also paving a way for things happening, of course, like you said, political reform, and
Well, yeah, the end game is a new kind of government. But in order to do that, they have to break the trust between the people and the governments. And that has been perpetuated for the last 4 years by the Biden administration, the Bill Gates Foundation, the United Nations, the WHO.
right,
I can go on and on. So what we're seeing today is a reason to undoubtedly create more aggression towards the left Democratic uni party. And it is a uni party. In fact, I think both sides are playing this game as well. I don't
right,
want to go too down the rabbit hole, but
right,
people
yeah.
people are fucking clueless. They are clueless because over a decade ago, you could have found proof for all the stuff that we're seeing now, like, oh, who's working with who. They're all part of the same club, in my opinion.
Correct, correct. I saw one of your
Yeah.
posts on your Instagram story. The Democratic Party, they're hiding behind it, and it was kind of like something like that, and I saw the video.
Yeah, I said murderers
Yeah,
hiding
murders. Yeah.
behind the Democratic and Liberal Party because these are murderers. And I hate to say this, these are they're Zionists, neocons, Zionist neocons. These are Nazis in modern days today. These
Right.
are Nazis, and they disguise themselves by wearing suits, and they smile, and they tell you that your vote counts, and hey, I'll get you a job. And I mean, it's all bullshit. Like,
Right.
how stupid are people? Like, wake up, man. So that's going on.
Mm.
And while that's going on, everything else is going on too, including the banks.
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
now, now, I want to ask you. This is a really crucial question here. When banks fail, right?
Hmm.
Do you think things are gonna get violent?
Of course, if banks fail, violence is almost certain to erupt. And I say this because we're already seeing violence and the banks are doing just fine.
Right.
So, I mean, if this is the world we live in today, imagine what it would be like when the banks are off. You're going to see significant unrest, even if with the banks operational or not. But yes, it will certainly accelerate and you'll
Mm.
see more aggression and violence. So, just imagine how bad it could get.
Yeah.
And this is why it's so crucial, and this is what I teach, is to have exposure to digital assets that are going to potentially provide the solution during such a crisis like XRP. That's why I teach it, because liquidity drives the markets. And that's probably the biggest issue in the banking system, which I can expand on here shortly.
Mm.
Um, but the driver of all markets is liquidity, and liquidity is tapped out, which means borrowing and lending become difficult, which means the economy comes to a halt. Anyways,
Right.
so holding physical assets like gold and silver are extremely essential. You could, these can be borrowed against or used for trade if necessary in a banking crisis, or if we had a cyber attack or something like that. So it's also wise to keep some cash on hand for situations where only cash is accepted. And this is what happened when Hurricane Beryl hit Houston. Everyone needed
Mm.
cash so you can do transactions, get your food, your ice, your water, whatever, and then stock up on food, water, and essential supplies because that's what I do because I know prices are not going to stop. They're going to continue to rise. And then supply chains, which is another critical issue we rarely discuss. Generally, no one talks about this, but when disruptions do occur and a crisis occurs, having those basic necessities are going to be invaluable, and it's going to actually it's going to determine life and death even. It really
Right.
could. So preparation is key.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And for the audience who are listening too, they say like, okay, there's cops, there's law enforcement, all this violent stuff won't happen. But I mean, guys, literally take a look. I mean, if banks fail, the police, the law enforcement themselves are gonna go on strike. Who's gonna pay them to protect
Well,
them?
yeah, the first side of trouble, the law enforcement, military, they'll all be gone. They're going to go protect their families and make sure they're okay.
Right.
That's how it would work in any situation like this. But don't put I'm sorry, your life in someone else's hands, right? And this is exactly what the governments want. They want to create the dependency. They want you dependent on the institutions for your water, your food, your energy. This is the new world order. This is what they want, creating that dependency where the people need government. You need government because if you don't have government, you're cut off from the system. Why? Because we allowed them to control everything. You see, it
Correct.
keeps circling back to us. It really does. So, and just to expand a little bit on the bank failures, like bank failures are inevitable at this point. In the current economic landscape, we're experiencing a currency crisis. The dollar's purchasing power continues to decline. The global balance of power is shifting towards the east. The dollar's status as a world reserve currency is under threat due to actions because of our own corrupt politicians. Inflation is extremely high because the dollar is losing its value once again. Interest rates are elevated because servicing debt has become increasingly expensive. National debt is spiraling out of control, and many people are relying on credit cards while their incomes continue to decline. Given those conditions that I just described over there, do you think a banking crisis is inevitable?
Of course. Of course.
Exactly. That's right.
Of
So,
course.
and just recently, nobody talked about this, but Major financial institutions revealed that billions of dollars in credit card debt is unlikely to be repaid. And that coincides with the high-end banking standards that makes it even harder for people, the middle class, to borrow money. So this is a classic scenario, problem, reaction, solution. And that's why I keep telling people central bank digital currencies are going to be a real thing, and they will likely emerge as a solution because people are running out of money.
Correct, correct, correct. I mean, that's I've been also seeing is even in my research, the World Economic Forum themselves said they're actually expecting a cyber attack, and they're making sure they're okay, but not everybody. They're making sure they're all right. They have their digital assets safe, their wealth is safe because they're expecting it and they're ready. World Economic Forum, they said I put it in another video as well on my channel,
Well, I'll
but
tell you a
yeah,
secret about the World Economic Forum. Many people don't know this. In fact, it took me a while to realize this.
right,
People look at these guys and they think, oh my God, they have so much power. They're billionaires, right? The truth is, they have no power.
no,
They have nothing of substance. You know what their power is? Do you know what their greatest weapon is? Us, the
right,
people.
right,
The fact that we can be so easily naive and ignorant and fooled to go in the wrong direction and perpetuate what they want us to perpetuate hatred, um, consumerism. That's something I do want to talk to you about,
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Our behaviors have to change too. And see, this works exactly with what they want. They want our behaviors to change. Right now, they're trying to change our behaviors because we can't learn from them to begin with. And this is going to fit right into their one world climate agenda plan. You know what I mean?
correct,
So there are bigger things going on here, and it ties into propaganda. Think about it. Propaganda has shaped the perspective of the masses because many people lack the ability to critically think for themselves, so they have to rely on others to tell them exactly what to believe. Personally, I focus on teaching people how to think independently and how to understand the mechanisms that we're talking about here behind this manipulative system so that you can prepare and take necessary actions. Because most people are going to be led astray because of propaganda. This is the way the world works, right? Which is
correct,
why so many people are facing significant challenges because propaganda is a major reason to provide hatred, anger, frustration amongst people instead of fostering love, kindness, and empathy, qualities that define us as human beings, what God would want. Humanity, in many ways, is losing its soul. The next generation, I promise you, is going to face a very dark and bleak future unless the parents break free from the cycle of manipulation and teach their children and everybody around them how to think independently and think for themselves with the value of genuine human connection.
correct.
That's the
And
answer to everything.
right,
Love.
we are right now, as we see, especially with a lot of people right here, spiritual war. We're
Of
in a
course.
spiritual war, and like yeah, propaganda. Every time I see propaganda, it's also addictive. The more you scroll, the more your life decisions is based on the media that you look at and you watch and the content
Well,
you
with
watch.
AI now,
Yeah.
with AI, it can
Oh
enhance
my
it.
God, the AI! Don't get me started with the AI, man.
It's very scary. Yeah.
They can lip sync somebody saying something and they believe and they think, oh, it's actually Trump, but it's AI. It's made by AI. So like, it's been we're divided. The more propaganda is pushed, the more you see people divided, hated. Like they hate. There's ignorance. There's uh, uncontrollable ego, and just people just hate each other. Like one hand doesn't clap. We need each other as a community to fight these dark forces that is pushed against us.
No, I
So
mean, that's why I always tell you off record,
right,
always encourage critical thinking, encourage empathy and love to counteract the negative effects of propaganda and so forth.
yeah, yeah. Just to also from my input as well. This is also ties in doing your own research. And Versan, I want you to touch on that too. How far if a person wants to do his own research, how far does he get as a person who wants wisdom? And like how far the more research the person does instead of just bottling up propaganda left and right. So how far is research, like how useful research is, doing your
Okay,
own
I'm
research.
trying to think. Yeah, okay. Your question then is what's the importance of doing your own research? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's crucial. We live in a very complex world where, again, propaganda dictates what we, believe, what we think. Now enhanced by AI, it's even more dangerous. So it's crucial because it allows you have to do your own research, everyone, because it encourages you to, it allows you, I'm sorry, to form your own perspective, which is very important. It allows you to be grounded in your own morals if you have any, your intuition, and understanding just the way the world works, right?
Right.
So the first step, in my opinion, what I even tweeted this today, the first step in the process is to ignore mainstream news and many of these mainstream influencers. One rule I always follow is I never trust anyone who needs a teleprompter to give financial advice or even to express their thoughts and opinions, like what you would see on mainstream news. If anyone has a teleprompter, and you could look at their eyes and you can see them going back and forth, right? Anyone with a yeah, I'm dead serious.
Yeah,
Look at all
yeah.
the XRP YouTubers and everybody else. And a lot of people have stolen my research and just reiterated what I've been saying for years. Anyways, anyone who uses a
Right.
teleprompter, it
Mm.
means that they have no idea what they're talking about to a degree. It's not genuine. They don't know what they're talking about. They're merely reading a script. So that's like one way. Um, Another key aspect of research is verification. If you hear something, like when I talk about, I've talked about the IMF so many times and the World Bank discussing the use of XRP as a stable coin to mitigate a global debt crisis and even to facilitate cross-border transactions. Many people attacked me. Many people were skeptical. I kept saying for a year, go do your research, go do your research, go to the IMF website. 1 year later, those same people and those same points were widely accepted, widely discussed, and other people actually took the credit for my research and revealing it to the public. So just be very careful who you listen to as well.
Correct.
Many people are actually full of full of shit,
Full of
and that's
shit.
the
Yeah.
honest way to say it. It's very hard to find true, honest voices that truly understand the underlying issues and try to convey what's happening with a very genuine prospect. And I think that's to a degree where my brother and I stand. We are, I mean, we're here doing all the research to try to educate people how to critically think for themselves, and we teach this on our courses as well as digital assets, the monetary system, et cetera, et cetera. We give a very macro perspective on just all the changes that are happening. So we've been offered so many times to like go do this and go do that. And we'll pay you here. We'll pay you here. We haven't taken money from anybody. We are independent. We want people to be independent. We want to teach you how to think independently. And that requires you to do your own research. It really does.
Correct. 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 And
Yeah.
the more you learn, the more you earn. You know, the
It's a
you
good point.
learn. Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who they learn a lot, but they don't make a lot. And that's because those are the people that'll say knowledge is power.
Truth.
Bullshit.
True knowledge. Though.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power if you know how to execute it. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
If you have knowledge, that's good, right?
Yeah.
But if you can execute what you've learned and take action upon it, that's power.
Right. Correct. Correct.
Right.
Man, so of course, guys, everybody who's listening, do your research, do your due diligence. There's a lot of information out there that can confirm what is actually going on, especially when it comes to distractions and propaganda that happens. And there's things happening behind while distractions are happening. And if you do your research, you will pass away from the distractions that happens, especially like what Trump and what happened, right? And you see what really happened during
Let me
that time.
make a quick statement. I'm sorry to cut you off, Akram.
No, it's okay. Go
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, what happened to Trump is very sad. It
Of course.
it's a very significant event. It's very important too, because that's the president of the United States. And by the way, he's still running the country. Well, he's not running the country as he should, but we're still under President Trump's executive order. were still living under his executive order before they ousted him from Washington. That's very interesting. Many of your listeners probably don't know about this, but this is a whole different discussion. We're still living under Trump's executive order, which is very interesting. It's a rabbit hole topic,
Right.
but it's still a very important issue, and it should have not have happened. But this is what happens when you see the Uni Party and the Democratic Party. These are the murderers and Zionists who are hiding behind the democratic and liberal belief system of what they believe. And what they're doing is they're perpetuating hate, anger, racism, which has divided America. And that is the root cause for what has happened to Trump. But that's been perpetuated by the deep state. The deep state are, I'm not kidding, the Bidens, the Obamas, the Clintons, the George Soroses, your Bill Gates. It goes deeper then into some of the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the CIA, the FBI.
Correct.
So there is a real war going on between the deep state and probably the elected government. Elected.
Elected
See,
government.
that's very,
Right.
yeah, it's all about the word. The devil's in the detail. So yeah, we're living in a really crazy time. And I really do believe, though, this is a United Nation attempt to accelerate the New World Order, which can tie us even into what the BRICS is doing. And that's a whole different subject for another time. But
Right.
there's a lot of information out there. And it's so hard to discern what the real narrative is because there are so many rabbit holes and there's a lot of information that most people are not akin to. So it's very concerning. You know, you have to look at things from a big picture to get an idea, I guess, of where this is going. If you want to talk about digital assets real quick, we can.
Yeah.
Because listen, what I'm trying to tell your audience is that while all that shit is going on, with the deep state and the Trump and the election and even escalating wars, which is something we didn't talk about, which ties us in to what's happening in the banking system because we're in a currency crisis, a currency crisis. You can go back to what I said in the beginning of this video about all the problems we're having in the monetary system. This is all converging. They are looking for an excuse to go to war as well, and to maybe sideline the election as well. So it's like watching a house of cards. When we watch our politics today, people need to look at it as in we're watching the show House of Cards. They're both corrupt. They're easily bought off. We have no real genuine representation, which is why the country never gets better. They're
Correct.
clinging to a system that is dead. You have to understand that. The dollar is also dead too, despite what people believe. The fact that we still trade in dollars doesn't mean shit.
Doesn't mean shit.
Personally, I talked to you about this, Akram. I am so sick of holding dollars because every time I go to the grocery store, I have to pay my bills. My prices keep going up. That is devaluation of currency, ladies and gentlemen. And the fact that your currency is devaluing means you don't want to trade in it. You don't want to transact in it because it's not store of value anymore. Why the hell are we holding it? If that's how I feel about my own currency, imagine what governments and financial institutions that run the world are thinking. We got to get into something new. We
Correct.
need to get into something that is pure liquidity. The dollar's liquidity is tapped out. The central banks can only pump more money into the system, but every time they pump money, the deficit gets more expensive. To service the debt gets more expensive. The currency purchasing power keeps getting down. And because of that, it creates a situation where empires collapse. We are at the end of an American empire, and that's what people are afraid to accept and admit. They're clinging to the past and they don't know how to accept the changes that are coming and to adopt to them. Those who adopt to the changes coming are going to survive. The ones who refuse to adopt and accept the fact that these changes are coming and make the changes in their life, they are going to get wiped out. They are going to die. And this is not by accident. This is going to be by design. And as history repeats itself, winners and losers, brother. There are always a few winners, and there's a whole lot of
All
losers out
losers.
there. Whole world of losers, okay?
Right.
And this is the way the world works. It's a natural selection process.
Right.
Not in its own, it's a natural selection process because you have all the tools and information to make the changes that need to be done to adopt to the new world monetary system. But are you taking action? Again, knowledge is important, but executing it, taking action upon what you know, that's power.
Correct, correct. And it's people that's why they just trust the dollar. They don't trust anything. They trust in the old system. They just in the bubble. Just in the
Because they don't
bubble.
know any better.
You know any better,
And
correct?
yeah, the sad thing is people in America have I'm serious about this, man. They have traded their rights away and their freedoms without a clue
Right,
for
right.
gizmos and gadgets. I told you this last time. Amazon is not in the business of helping you out. Amazon is in the business of producing too many useful things, resulting in too many useless people. America has become fucking consumers. All
Right.
they do, the last American value, buying things.
But
That's
I
it.
know.
Yeah, that's what George Carlin said.
Yes.
It's the only lasting American value is shopping, buying things, going to do this, eating out. Hey, honey, I'm bored. Want to go get dinner? Like there are people starving on the other side of the world.
Right.
And here you are going to have dinner just to have a good time. It's really sad, man. Americans are so bankrupt with their lives that they have to convince themselves they need to attain more physical items at the expense of
Mm,
other people across the world who are suffering as a result of our greediness and selfishness.
correct.
It's very disgusting. If Americans really knew, I don't think they would change because naturally this is a very selfish country. It's all about
Correct.
me. It's all about me. This is how the American mentality is. It really is. Okay.
Correct.
Despite how they sugarcoat it or try to hide it in those beautiful faces and those nice
Mm.
dresses and those cool suits and stuff. People are so full of shit in this country. It's not even a joke. All right. And this is where it gets funny. If you really sat down some Americans who were critical thinkers, like knew how to think outside the box, and you told them that, hey, did you know just so you can keep swiping that credit card, we have to go bomb people in Gaza. We have
Mm.
to go support another war in Iraq. We have to go do this. We have to go bomb these people just to keep the military industrial complex going, just so the central banks can keep producing and inflating the debt. Means you can keep swiping your damn card even though you don't have the money to afford the things you're getting. You're living way above your means. This is the reality of the American empire, and it's coming to an end. Luckily, I've been a minimalist my whole life
Right.
and humble too, despite the fact that I do have the money, but I choose not to spend it. I put the
Correct.
money in better use cases.
That's really important because it keeps you humble, down to earth, and you don't need the things that you're buying. Like if you don't need it, well, why buy it? You know? So
Yeah,
it's only
people, this,
once. It's only once. Oh, you want that, but if you get it, you're gonna waste your money. You're gonna look at it like,
yeah, it's just there's
did I
this
just really
need.
pay? Did I just really pay $80 for that? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, people buy
Yeah.
some nice shoes and then they come home and they're like, eh,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
yeah,
Correct, correct,
that's
correct.
it.
I mean,
I wasted $300 on this Gucci belt and that's it.
right.
The
Also, I want
happiness is gone. It's a dopamine effect.
yeah, that's why I wanted to touch on also the financial liquidity instrument XRP. Um, so
Mhm.
how we need to speak about XRP. How's XRP going right now as we see today? What's the latest news about XRP?
Yeah, well, it's pretty much the same. Listen, you know, the markets are, there was a small minor correction in the
Right.
markets. Every time you see a small dipping opportunity, it's not a bad idea to, DCA a little bit, dollar cost average. As far as Ripple and digital asset XRP, Ripple, no doubt, is going to play a very crucial role in the evolving monetary system. That's where we are today. It's all being constructed. Ripple is involved in constructing the payment rails, the infrastructure for which the banks and the central banks and financial institutions are going to use the currency XRP as the digital asset to facilitate the instant transaction settlement without pre-funding, on-demand liquidity, instantaneous. It's very similar to real digital gold. XRP was specifically designed to reimagine the monetary system, revolutionize finance. So it's still doing its thing.
Right.
It's still growing. Um, I mean, that's all I can really say about
Right.
it. And I've done everything I can to teach this technology and to explain it to people over and over. And for 4 years, Akram, you know this, for 4 years I've been correct. And I'm
Correct.
not bragging here. But
Yeah.
my point, though, is that we've given you everything there is to understand about it. The rest is a waiting game. At this point, 100% convinced XRP is not an American issue. It is a geopolitical issue. It is a global issue because this is going to replace the dollar's role as a global reserve settlement mechanism. Remember, if Ripple is constructing the payment rails to which all currencies will be stabilized and bridged together,
Mhm.
that's the ideal candidate for a reserve currency. That's pretty much how the dollar functions today. It's just the dollar, no one wants it because it's losing purchasing power. It's not a reserve currency anymore. So you got to have a substitute. And that's why it's taking forever. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
a long term game. In the meantime, have your digital asset portfolio diversified. We teach these digital assets. There are a select few. Use ones with, invest in ones that have real use case and utility, not meme coins. As far as Bitcoin, my God, man, fuck
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Fuck Bitcoin. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
because like
you might have to cut that out, okay? But yeah,
yeah.
Bitcoin, on the other hand, it had its significant role at one point. In
Right.
my opinion, it never did. It was introduced through a 1996 white paper by the National Security Agency, which
Right.
detailed SHA-256. People can go do their own research. It
Mhm.
was designed to pave the way for the acceptance of digital money.
Right.
And they have successfully achieved this goal. Everyone's in digital money now.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
I have information of XRP recently, especially where I live at, Chicago. The Chicago Board of Trade are now working, the CME group, Board of Trade, they're actually working with XRP
with
and
Ripple or XRP.
Ripple, basically. Yes, Ripple. And
Okay,
yeah,
so yeah, if they're going to be working with Ripple, they are most likely going to have an involvement with the digital asset XRP
correct.
because
Correct.
that's the currency that
Yeah.
runs on the
And
rails.
I covered it in my video. It was my research. I covered the video and I had the PDF and I showed what were they speaking on and the chart of basically what they're using on
Yeah, it's
Chicago
pretty
Board of
cool.
Trade.
And
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's a number my previous video. You can guys check it out. It'll be great. And yeah, but yeah, we just need to log off here. We have 4 minutes. You want to say anything before we log off?
yeah, this was a great call.
No, it's
No,
amazing.
I can say anything else, but I just want people to understand that as far as the Bitcoin guys, these maxis are insane, and I'm not kidding about this. Bitcoin advocates, I have encountered personally, they lack the depth of understanding, and they often display a more superficial grasp of the digital currency landscape. It's a cult. It really is,
Right.
Some people say the XRP army is a cult, but I think it's a cult in a sense because we have done our calculated risk, calculated thinking. We've thought this through. We've actually researched it. Bitcoin has received so much promotion from major financial institutions and mainstream media. And it's ironic that some of the Bitcoin maxis are attacking the very same institutions that are now showcasing this product. Um, so there's a lot of conflict of interest, and like I said it earlier, and I really, really mean this at this point. I'm so convinced. I've been a YouTuber now for like 2 years, and my channel got shut down in 2021, so 3 years
Mhm.
technically. Um, there are so many people on YouTube that are so full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about, and like I said, it's very hard to find genuine people who are putting information out there.
Correct.
It's a
Correct.
shame. It really is. It's like, wow, there are a lot of stupid people out there. It doesn't take you that long. Carry a pen and paper with you. You'll run into 20, 30 people a day.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, Versan, for coming up here, giving me your time here. But I'll let you be here, and have a
Thanks,
great
man.
day. And yeah, we'll definitely proceed on our next podcast for sure.
Yeah.
All
Take
right,
care, man.
Versan. All right,
Thank you.
take care. Bye bye.